How's it going? This is Rick at Ralph, and today we will be covering the two bishops opening. I've shown you little pieces of this variation in previous videos. Today we're going to get into the real theory of it. Now, the idea of the two bishops is to get quick and harmonious development of your bishops, which is something that's normally pretty difficult to achieve in this game, especially if you expand your full center immediately. You're just really going to be having some stagnant bishops for a good portion of the game. This isn't the only way to develop your bishops, but it's probably just the cleanest. You do give up a little bit of time in the center, but it doesn't make a huge difference. Now, one thing I want to point out is when this queen is right here, this opening I'm showing you is a little bit less advantageous. This is sort of an anti-setup, and you have to be a little bit more careful because the problem here is that if you just come straight out, this pawn will just kick you, and if you want to finish your two bishops opening and do the swing, you're going to have to waste a tempo now repositioning this bishop, and it's just not pleasant. So there's a little trick here you can use to still achieve your bishop swing smoothly, and the idea is to prepare your left early. And what this does is this makes it so that when the bishop is harassed by the pawn, it will no longer go to an inefficient square, it will go to its intended square. So this forces black to waste a tempo and bring the pawn up early if he would like to prevent the swing. And what this does is allows you to go here, and this is what's called the pin variation. Now normally you don't play the pin variation with the goal of swinging your bishop. The pin variation, you'll usually bring your bishop backwards. We'll cover that in a different video. And the reason that you need this wasted tempo is because when this camel comes out, he's already threatening to come here and fork your pawn and your bishop. But since you prepared his left early, you can bring your bishop back, and then when the camel comes here, we can play this pawn forward, and this protects our position. This is a slight concession right here, but because of the nature of our opening, it's not so bad. We're really not pushing for a giant center right now, and because of the nature of Metamachy pawns, they can move forward two spaces at any time. This one little movement actually gives it the same amount of preponderance as if it moved two spaces. I mean, we can't go here, but we wouldn't want to anyways, right? So, this is the purpose of playing this. Now black's made his camel a little bit awkward. He might have a hard time finding a space for it. This is just good for black, or for white, excuse me. Now, normally this will not be the situation we get, but I wanted to show you that because you need to know just how dangerous this camel is to this opening. So we're going to start with a more favorable position for this opening. We'll use my favorite, of course. And in this position, you'll see it's a lot easier because black can't really push you out of the position in the same way he would like to. There's a couple of ways to respond in this particular variation. I'm going to recommend going here with your lion. And the reason we do this is simply to give ourselves some spatial control right here, and it's going to help us castle our king a little bit quicker, which I'll show you in a second. So white's just going to create his left, keeping with the plan, and then right here black's going to advance this pawn, preparing to chase this bishop out. And the bishop's going to go back here, and from here white will have the option of eventually threatening this lion, and it's going to force you to move the pawn up if he does this. This is one downside to this particular position, but it's not so bad really. And the next move by black is to go here with the bishop, white will generally move this pawn up. This is a fianchetto maneuver, but I would like to point out that when you move this pawn up, you want to move it 2 spaces to keep your opponent's camel out. Because if the camel gets in, it will completely ruin the whole idea of your fianchetto structure. And that's another reason I like the swing maneuver, because it just uses space that you've already created with your fianchetto, so this goes hand in hand. And your elephant will be able to jump out and create a nice battery later in the game. So it's very harmonious opening. The idea is to really get the pieces in the best squares possible early in the game and worry about your more flexible pieces later. So from here, black will usually, well, as you see, we swung our bishop. This is a backswing, and what we're trying to do is go here and get our own bishop swing in. And white really can't stop it because our bishop's backed up, so it's not a target like we see right here. This is the advantage of a backswing. But you are wasting a tempo. So the next thing white does is finish his fianchetto. Now he's got a really nasty bishop break going. Black will just castle, and this is why we swing the bishop backwards instead of going forward, because it leaves us the option of this pawn right here. And maybe if white never does this right here, we might be doing okay. From here, white will castle. Similar idea. Now, if you notice, black's pawn structure is pristine, but white has a lot of play going on. When white does start playing for the center, it's going to be a bloodbath if black doesn't prepare properly. And from here, black is going to start bringing his pawns out in just the right. There's special phalanx that black makes right here. And the first idea is just to bring this pawn out, and then from here, white is going to start developing his central pawns and bring in a little bit of his queenside power, because he's going to want to start making pawn breaks soon. From here, black needs to start securing his left, because white will be coming for the center. He doesn't want to be caught with his pants down, so to speak. So white brings his lion right here. This is a nice point of the bishop swing, as we've given the lion a nice square. Now the bishop comes back. I gotta speed up because the video's time is starting to end. And from here, we see the pawn expand. The idea is to bring this pawn upward. We're creating a phalanx to stop this bishop rake. And then we see this prince come out. Then we see this pawn come forward. This is a double phalanx. And then white will generally bring this pawn forward, creating a 4-pawn front. This is a nice front to start an attack with, and once he's developed a little bit more, he'll be doing pretty good. Now from here, I'm going to write, there's 2 ways you can go. You can either just play with this phalanx, and this is the classical defense of the lion system, or you can play the stonewall variation, where you make your phalanxes super solid, and the idea here is just to keep the bishops on. This is what I'm going to recommend because it's just a little bit easier to play. Just keep in mind that your king is going to need extra attention. And from here we'll see this come out, because you really want to get your elephant out, but you need to get your camel out of the way, because these 2 pieces always fight for squares. So this is something you should always remember. And from here, we're going to see this elephant come out. There's many ways this variation can continue, but it basically just comes down to what pieces go where. And from here, we will see this pawn come up. And this is a preparation to get the elephant out. This camel will come back. We will see this prince come up, and the reason is to get this camel in a different way. And then we'll see the elephant come out. Black will bring his piece out. As you see, it's just a big development war right here. At any time, white can make a pawn break. And then from here, we will see the cannon come back behind the king. This is a common maneuver. We'll see this go here, and then we will see white bring his eagle up to help connect these, and then the elephant comes out. From here, you'll